Hi, it's Christy from Joy Fibre Art. I wanted to introduce you to my newest creative project. You might have seen a few videos already, but last weekend I bought a 2014 Dodge ProMaster van. It's a 136-inch wheelbase van, and I am going to convert it into a mobile fiber art studio and camper van. So it's a project I am super excited about. I have been thinking about this for a long time, and I just wanted to share a little bit about the project and give you a bit of an update in case you're wondering why I am posting videos of converting a van instead of just weaving and spinning. So I'll just give you a little rundown on what I am hoping to accomplish with this project and also kind of my bigger vision for weaving and my fiber art practice in general. But first of all, let me just start by saying this is my folding Saori loom, and my goal is to have enough space in my van to bring the loom with me and or my spinning wheel. We'll see how much space I actually have. And so it's not going to be a typical van build. If you have looked at or ever watched a van life video or a van conversion video, you'll see that a lot of the vans have really compressed spaces. So you're trying to fit a lot of stuff into a small amount of space, which obviously is very normal. And lots of people live in them full time. And so they need to have space for storage and all sorts of extra things. And my vision is to have a more open space so that I can take the van out on weekends or when I'm not working and do creative things out in nature, traveling around, having adventures in my space. And so I'm going to need to have enough floor space around me to be able to open up the loom, to work comfortably, to have a spot to sit and work. And so it's not going to be a typical van build. The 136-inch wheelbase on my van is a lot smaller than the really long camper vans that you might see. And so I don't have as much space. And so I don't know if this is going to work or not, but my plan is to have the bed mounted at the back up a little bit high and to have a pull-out kitchen drawer. Sometimes you'll see these, people will have them maybe out the side door of their van or out the back of their van or sometimes even their SUV. When they're camping. And my goal is to have something, a large drawer that can slide out from underneath the bed that will have my stove and a sink and other things so that I can use that as my kitchen area, but that it's not permanently taking up space, floor space in the van. I also have a few other key considerations. So yes, I need floor space, but I also need a spot for two people to sleep. I have a teenage son who likes to travel with me, and so he needs a spot as well. So I need to have another spot, probably like a bench that can convert into a twin size bed so that there's spots for two people to sleep. And so I need to kind of figure out the layout so that's going to work. I also do a ton of winter camping. And so I am thinking of ways to convert the van so that it doesn't have electrical or wiring issues and also water that might freeze when I'm in cold temperatures. So my plan is to have a bit of a off-grid, I guess, style water system. And also, instead of wiring a big electrical system, I'm just going to run things off of a good power station. So it's going to be a little bit different than maybe what other people do, but it's all I really need it to be. And, if it's sitting parked for a week, I want to be able to take the valuable stuff out and put it back in before my next trip instead of leaving stuff in there all the time. So I need it to be a little bit multifunctional. And so that is my plan. I'd really love to have a bathroom in the van. I don't know if I'm going to have enough space or not to do it, but I do have a funky idea of how I might be able to pull off a bathroom. The other consideration for me is just making sure it's insulated for winter. It's in pretty good condition. So it used to deliver food locally and was often parked inside. So it has, not too many kilometers on it. It does have some rust. So I'm kind of working through cleaning the rust and getting the surfaces prepped this week for my first week. And really hoping that I can get as much done as humanly possible this week so that next week when I am off work, I can really get a lot of the building part done. Ultimately, my dream for this project is to have a mobile studio. It's super expensive to rent space to weave or to have a studio where you can, teach and do other things. And so I've thought a lot about how I want to show up for myself in my art. And what that looks like for me in the long term. And the reality for me is my son is just starting his last year of high school. I'm going to have a lot of freedom and flexibility once he kind of moves on to his next big thing. And so I want to build a space that will allow me to travel and do different things instead of having a studio space that keeps me locked in one location. And so I thought a lot about different ways to do that. And what I really, really, really feel passionate about is promoting and supporting the Canadian industry that feeds into my artwork. So, a little bit about that. I just got back from a road trip out to the east coast of Canada, and on the trip I had an opportunity to go to two different woolen mills. One was a museum and one was a working mill. It was really cool to see the process of how we go from, sheep and shearing all the way to spinning it into yarn. And there aren't that many of them left in Canada, to be honest. We're super lucky to have some amazing Canadian companies like Leclerc Looms, and I was at the Briggs & Little mill in New Brunswick last week. And we have all of these very cool suppliers and I guess part of the supply chain that feeds into the work that I'm able to do. I love going to the Woodstock Fleece Festival every year. I think it's called Woolstock now, but it's a really cool opportunity if you ever get to go to like a fiber festival. There's a lot of farms that will take the fleece from their sheep or alpaca, have it cleaned, and then they just bring it in garbage bags and you can buy it by the weight. And I always leave with bags and bags full of stuff because I love to spin it. And I also then love to incorporate that into my weaving and other work. And so it had me thinking a lot about how we have this amazing resource in Canada. And oftentimes it's hard to know as a fiber artist or someone who's just getting into this craft how to source some of these materials. It's not like weaving and spinning is not a hobby that's like knitting and crochet where, you can find supplies at any craft store. It really does sometimes require doing a bit of investigation and research. So through the art of storytelling and obviously like making videos and sharing this type of content, I'd love to give you ideas of ways that you can support Canadian farms, businesses, yarn dyers, spinners, people that are even other fiber artists and people that are telling stories through textiles. I would love to use my van to be a tool to share those stories. I also I do have some building experience. So when I was a kid, my parents bought some land and our family built a log cabin cottage from scratch. And so I have lots of building experience from when I'm younger. And I have to say, I'm the type of person that likes to move fast when I'm making things. And so, slowing down, measuring twice, cutting once is a challenge for me. So I'm excited to do this and see how much of my vision I can bring out in something that I really haven't done in quite a long time. And also, I'm teaching my son as I go. So he hasn't, had the opportunity to use power tools and other things before. So I'm really excited to be able to teach him a bit about that. And so far, he's pretty excited about the project. So hopefully we can keep that up and have some big adventures together before he goes off to university. But for now, the adventure really is in the making. I just want to finish by saying I read the book Try Hard by Max Kerman this year. He's the lead singer of the band The Arkells. And one thing that really stood out was he talks a bit about how when you're a creative person, sometimes it's not about the end product of what you are making. It's actually just about the experience of creating and learning as you go along. And I feel like for me, this is a perfect opportunity to do that. I am trying skills that I haven't used in a long time. I am making something I have never made before. I am learning something new every day. I can hardly sleep at night because my mind is just worrying, thinking, how am I going to cut this angle? And how am I going to handle this situation as I'm doing my build? So there is something that is just super magical about the idea of creating something from scratch and going through the process of creating. And so, although the end goal, is also exciting to me right now, the biggest part that I'm excited about is the journey of making. So I hope you join along and enjoy the process. And, I'm really hoping to get a lot of progress done next week, but I know these types of van builds take quite a lot of time. So we'll see how far I can get. Soon enough, I'll be able to take it out on its first road trip adventure, and you'll get a chance to come and be creative with me out in nature. I would love it if you subscribe and like, comment, share, follow along, ask questions, share your feedback. This is going to be a real adventure for me, and definitely want to bring you along on that adventure as I do this build. So thank you for watching, and I look forward to sharing more.